I would like to introduce Kirsten Chambers. Kirsten Chambers made her Metropolitan Opera debut on short notice in 2016 in the title role of Salome. Her Carnegie Hall debut came on just 2 days' notice when she sang the fiendishly difficult role of Maria in Richard Strauss's Friedenstag with the American Symphony Orchestra. Her 2016-2017 season started when she joined the roster of the Metropolitan Opera for the first time this fall as a cover of Isolde in Tristan und Isolde. The 2015-16 season, she debuted Rusalka at Lyric Opera of Kansas City and Leonore in Fidelio for the grand opening of New Amsterdam Opera. For her performance of the Lyric Opera of Kansas City, she sang convincingly as the beautiful, conniving foreign princess without sacrificing great vocal sounds for characterization. Her 2014-15 season began with her exciting debut in the title role of Salome at Opera Hong Kong, where the depth of her performance grew wildly as she exhibited the fitness of an athlete. The dramatic color exhibited throughout her middle range and the defined delicacy of her high notes easily won the audience over. For Opera de René, she reprised the role of Elsa in Lohengrin, described as delicious with beautiful legato and radiant high notes.
I realized that I'm really scared to share my story with other people. I pride myself on encouraging other singers. I always saw myself as an encouraging creator, someone who supports other singers, and I wondered why I was so nervous, so scared to share my story. Well, as it turns out, I know this may surprise some of you, but I'm not perfect. And I have had so many setbacks. But I've overcome every time. So tonight, I promised myself, because I owed it to you, and because it's our job as artists, to take off my mask. So preparing for this event, I was throwing every wellness technique I've ever tried at it, because deep down, I thought that what I had to share was still not enough. Well, as my therapist, Nicholas Paulson, said, Kirsten, you are enough. You already have all you need, and you always did. And it's as true for me today as it's true for all of you. And it turns out that I'm doing this webinar as much for you as I am for me. I think Jana mentioned earlier, for those of you who were there, that this career is so hard and scary, but it's also so freeing and magical. It's an artist's job to show their inside world to an audience with integrity. And as it turns out, I'm as lucky for each one of my struggles as each one of my successes, because it made me stronger, and now I can share it with you. So let's start when I got my first big girl gig. Okay, I was so excited. My time had finally come, and boy, was I ready. It was my first time singing Wagner, all 4.5 hours. I worked with the stage director. I worked with all the voice teachers, all the coaches. I had friends come in and listen to my one-woman performance, hours and hours of it. So and then I fly millions of hours across the ocean, and it's my first day of rehearsal. And I'm so confident. I mean, this role is me. This role is me. This is what I was born to do. And then we start rehearsing, okay? And we're starting from the end of the opera. No musical rehearsal. We're doing stage directing. First day, we're just thrown in. And I thought, oh my God, okay, I can do this. So I start, doing my thing. And I start thinking, I'm like, so I wonder what the stage director thinks of me. Does he like me? Does he like what I'm doing? And then I'm looking at the assistant director and I'm thinking, oh, does he think I'm good? Is he liking what I'm doing? And then I'm looking, oh, the pianist is kind of making some faces over there. Maybe he doesn't think I sound very good. Maybe he doesn't think I should be singing Wagner. And then I took a step back after we had a break and I thought, what am I doing? I'm a professional opera singer. I'm not a student. Who cares what they think? I'm not looking for approval. And I'm certainly not in the moment in character. So I talked to the more experienced tenor on the way home. And he was like, oh, girl, who cares what they think? You got to be doing you. We work too hard to be caring about what anyone else thinks. Girl, you do you. So I went home and I tuned into myself. And at this point, I didn't know what tuning into myself really was. I didn't meditate. I didn't do self-hypnosis. All I know that my mind was a jumble of thoughts, and I wasn't really feeling anything. I was just numb. So what do you do when you feel like that? I Googled. So I Googled how to get over being worried about what other people think of you. And I found this great self-hypnosis exercise. That's actually something I still do today. First, you think about why you're tempted to worry about what everyone else is thinking. And for me, it was a new piece, and it was doing it for the first time. And I was worried about the powers that be, whatever the powers would be, whoever they are, wouldn't think it was good enough. Oh my gosh. So then you think of those times where you really are focused, and notice how that feeling of being focused feels. You feel like you're outside of yourself and limitless. And I thought of all the practice sessions that I had with my husband, who's my coach, and how I wasn't thinking about what I was doing before or what I was doing after. I was just in the moment, just singing. So I repeated this visualization every morning before rehearsal. And during rehearsal, I would just pretend that I was back in the studio, feeling limitless. Also during that time, I started an inspiration folder where I would put poems, inspirational quotes, affirmations, all on my phone, so that anytime I needed like a quick fix just to feel better, a quick uplift, I would do that. One of my favorite poems, and I have a lot of poems on my phone, is If by Kipling. And one of my favorite lines is, if you can dream and not make dreams your master. I think that's a great one for singers. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common ground, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you but none too much. When you truly don't care what anyone thinks of you, you've reached a dangerously awesome level of freedom. So I eventually got to this point, but not doing my first big girl gig. This is a great quote, and it's, again, important for us singers to know. Yes, we're not chocolate. Even though chocolate is like the best thing ever. This is a Nicholas Powelson quote. You alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. That's a really good one. I'm also really into affirmations. These are great affirmations. Probably the most effective way, though, is to make it personal to you. So what I do is I write down personal qualities I see in myself, and then how I embody these qualities, and then why. So for example, I see myself as courageous, but not always. So this is my affirmation. I am courageous, even when I don't feel courageous. I overcome setbacks and carry on. I did this recently when in Germany, juggling coaching and auditions. I know how to get myself unstuck. So basically, I write them down, my own personal affirmations. I say them aloud, and then I close my eyes and really say them to myself. Then at the end of the day, I look at my affirmations or my positive thoughts, and I tune into myself to see if I stay true to myself, and if not, why. And the reason this is important, the way you think and believe affects the way you feel. This whole thing was the start of me tuning into myself and embracing my inner artist. So there's Alice. I love Alice in Wonderland. This is impossible, only if you believe it is. And that's so true. We worry a lot as singers, and you have to stay present-minded. You have to use the energy to believe. This is one of my favorite Buddha quotes, and it's very true. These quick positivity triggers actually kept the judges at bay for a while, until I had my first difficult gig. You know, the kind where someone's playing mind games and the other person, the power it be, is not doing their job. Oh my God, what do you do? Well, it wasn't just a difficult gig for me. It was the first time I was doing a tricky role. and it was in an important house and a brand new role. So I had another colleague actually come up to me, because we all knew that we were in for a ride on this particular gig. And she said, Kirsten, are you sure you're going to be okay? I was the youngest person on this gig. And do you have any tools to get yourself through this spiritually, emotionally? And at the time, I really didn't have anything. I said, not really. So she showed me something that I use to this day when I'm receiving kind of difficult feedback. Maybe some of it that I just kind of want to not necessarily pay too much attention to. And you go like this. You actually cover your heart chakra when you're receiving that kind of feedback. And that certainly helped me a lot. But I would still replay in my mind all the negative things that were said, and I really wasn't sleeping. And I even thought about giving up singing. And here I was singing my dream role, and I wasn't enjoying myself. But it led me to get help. And when I returned to New York City, I was referred to a brilliant hypnotherapist who I mentioned earlier, Nicholas Paulson, and he taught me a better way to receive this kind of feedback. Nicholas showed me one of my favorite techniques. I'm a visual person, and it's stopping the world. And you can try this with me. I was running late to the first masterclass Nicholas gave, and while he was showing this technique, I was like, my heart was beating a mile a minute. I was so nervous. I was late. I felt so bad. And then as soon as we started it, my heart started to slow down. Felt so calm. My breath got low. So I'll show it to you now. Stopping the world. I'm not a therapist. But you basically look at a point, and you don't want to look at the point like this, but look at the point with relaxed eyes. You can even kind of close them a little bit if you'd like. And just focus on the point. Feel whatever you feel. And then you pay attention to what's happening peripherally around you, while still focusing on that point. And then you still focus on that point, and you focus on the areas that you really can't see, like above your head, behind you. You sense those. And even now, it puts me, whoa, almost into a trance-like state. I'm just so much more relaxed doing that. Why this works for me so well, or for anyone, is when we're in a negative state, we narrowly focus on that gross, yucky feeling. And this expands your awareness to what else is happening. So it helps really quiet and clear my mind. It's especially good when someone's sharing difficult feedback, so that you look like you're intently focused on what they're saying. But mentally you can be focused on things around you. So you're in a calm state, and you're kind of disassociating. You can disassociate from some of these things so that you're not taking them so much to heart. I have some inspirational quotes that go along with this. Okay, so nothing that is outside of you can affect you. Nothing outside of you can make you feel sad, angry, weak, or disheartened without your permission. And we have that power. And working with Nicholas has really changed my life. And he introduced me to one of my favorite things that I also keep on my phone and on my iPad, the Necker Cube. The Necker Cube has become one of my favorite things. This is like a real easy way to see how it works. You can see by looking at it, the dot either appears on the inside or appears on the outside. So if you look at it long enough, just kind of focusing on the dot, you can see how it will go in and out. And I actually keep a clear one on my desk. And it's a real easy way, because I'm such a visual person, just to calm myself down. And you just pay attention to the different angles. And it really also helps me sometimes to get into a more creative state too, when just looking at the cube. I think about whatever's bothering me, and then I notice what I see in the cube. You can notice the movement of the cube back and forth. Can you all see that kind of happening and moving when you're watching it? Speaking of problems and not stopping believing in yourself, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt said that, I think. So almost a year ago, this is kind of getting personal, but I had to end a relationship with someone on my team that for whatever reason didn't believe in me anymore. They had stopped believing in my talent. And this made me so sad. I felt like a dark cloud had just hanging over my head. And I'm not one of those people that ever has a dark cloud on their head. And I thought, oh my God, you know, what am I supposed to do? I'm just like, ugh, all the time. And I didn't want to sing, and I never not want to sing. And I was just so blocked, and I didn't know what to do about it. I realized I needed help fast. And one of my friends from college is she's a healer. Her name is Elizabeth Knudsen, and she does intuitive counseling, and she does energy healing. And what she did for me that day is an energy healing. Her website is abundancealignment.com. And my energy healing with her was absolutely miraculous. My husband was amazed at the change. I'm a Christian, and she prayed to my angels and did a healing that instantly cleared that block. The very next day, I could sing again, and I felt so free. She also inspired me not just to journal, but to spirit journal. And so I would ask Spirit what is required of me that day, and I would write it down. And Spirit had a heck of a lot better things to say than I did on my conscious level. So that's something I keep doing even today. And something she also taught me when the dark cloud is over your head is that she had me like, if I felt like the dark cloud, just push it away and blow it away, which sounds crazy. But anytime I get negative feelings, or I feel like I have like a dark cloud, I guess go, and it looks nuts. I don't try to do it. I don't do it in public normally, but I really feel better. It works for me. Another thing I learned with abundance alignment was chakra balancing. So you see there's 7 chakras. For those of you who don't know about chakras, I didn't know too much. I've done yoga my entire life, but I never did the chakra balancing. This has been very helpful to me to release stale energy in the body, which, you know, especially as singers, we know how important it is. If we're holding on to negative emotions, we experience physical restrictions, which affects our technique. And I was actually, it's funny where I'm blocked, which chakras are blocked, actually does go in line with some of my technical issues. So that's interesting. So I've actually really found this very helpful. Each chakra teaches us a lesson. So the root chakra, we have the right to be here. The sacral teaches us to honor others. The solar plexus, which kind of happens right with our diaphragm, self-acceptance. The heart is, of course, love. The throat, let your voice be heard. It's a hard one for me, which is funny because I'm a singer. Third eye, see the big picture. And the crown, my favorite, live mindfully. My friend Elizabeth Knudsen does this wonderful chakra meditation of sound healing.
Root chakra. Imagine a large circle extending from your knees to just below your feet. The center of this chakra is around your mid-calf to your foot. As you sound this vowel, imagine the sound is coming out from this area and rippling out in waves like ripples in a pond. Now sound the vowel as in the word bun, which corresponds to the root chakra. Repeat this with me a few times.
That kind of gives you an example of what she does. Back to my story. It's hard to lose someone on your team, but it pushed me. It was actually a good thing. It pushed me to checking in with myself and my singing journey. And what I discovered was that somewhere along the way, I actually lost enthusiasm for my own performance and satisfaction. And I asked myself, why? Singing was something I've done since I was a child. It gave me some of the greatest joy in my entire life. And the answer that came back to me was perfectionism. So I decided to fool with my brain a little, and I still do this. And I've made the goal of my auditions and my performances to do an imperfect performance, imperfect auditions. And you know what? I've been more present in the now And not only have I felt more free and enjoying the moment, I actually felt more satisfied with my quote unquote imperfect performances. Success is no accident. Most of all, love what you are doing. This is so important, and it's every single time. Every time I thought I was being rejected, it was actually better. Every single time, looking back. It's true, have no fear of perfection. And okay, this is an imperfect quote because the end is chopped off. There's no need to be perfect to inspire others. Let people get inspired by how you deal with your imperfections. I wanted to do some tapping with y'all. These are the tapping points. A lot of colleagues I know really enjoy tapping, and it's very helpful for them. I actually do a real quick and easy tapping. There's a bunch of tapping points, as you can see, but I do the quick and easy dirty version. And why tapping is good, anytime you have a negative emotion, you can tap it out, and you're actually tapping out certain acupuncture points to get relief from that issue. And you normally say something while you're doing it. So I'm just going to do a real quick, easy, down and dirty version for you. I only have 5 acupuncture points. If you want to do it with me, great. If not, that's cool too. So I tap my third eye and I say, I release and let it go. It's safe to let it go. It's okay to let it go. Whatever it means, whatever it represents, I'm safe to let it go. At your temples, I release and let it go. It's safe to let it go. It's okay to let it go. Whatever it means, whatever it represents, I'm safe to let it go. Then you do under your eye, and you can do your collarbone and your wrist grab. And I'm just doing a real quick version for you. Normally I go through the whole thing. It's really important that you focus on a negative feeling that you have right now. The negative feeling should you should disassociate from that after doing that. If not, then you do it again. So I do real quick. I just do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I say about releasing, and there's a ton online, and it's a ton of videos too, how to do that. So after the big rejection, I started living my life more mindfully, really noticing the way I was breathing every day, and especially the daily activities. One of my favorite daily activities, this sounds crazy, but all my friends know I love to clean. And I'm able to practice mindfulness now when I clean. So like, let's say I'm washing the dishes, I can really focus on the feeling of the soapy water on my hands, the soap smells, and the sound of the water whooshing out of the faucet. It's a way to focus on your mindfulness, and you can focus on that anytime. Oh, this is really important. Totally veering off. One of the things I noticed when I was covering at the Met, all the divas, Pat Rissette, Nina Stimma, they didn't take themselves too seriously in rehearsal. They laughed all the time. All the time. They were laughing all the time. And especially like when the directors would get a little nutty, they were laughing. And it was such a great, they created this wonderful atmosphere of play. And I realized I'm like, when I'm like them, when I'm leading the rehearsal, I want to be like that. And not only did they do that, their body language was so open. They did high power body language. You can see in the top row, they were always so open. They would have their feet up, their hands behind their heads, so they'd be laughing. And the reason for this, I'm thinking, is I've done some research, and those who do power poses, they feel more confident. And they also are more risk tolerant. And as opera singers, it's really important to be risk tolerant. So I'm not the bottom row, by the way. Those are not the power positions. So definitely do the top row. Oh, another trick. When I want to feel open, I keep the tops of my arms like this. I made a recent trip to Germany, and Yoga Sitzel, she does this great yoga for jet lag, and it puts me to sleep right away. It's fantastic. So I really recommend that. Something else I really like are sleep glasses. When you're traveling a lot internationally, you can have sleep issues. And that's always been a big thing for me, probably one of my biggest quandaries. And I found these sleep glasses. It's lowbluelights.com. And an hour before bed, it looks crazy, but I put these on and it's nice. You're reading your iPad, you're not slowing your melatonin production. And I'm also a very visual person. So I wear these. I'm going to start yawning, but it really puts me in the state of mind to go to sleep, even if I'm jet lagged. So those of you who have struggled with trying to get to sleep the night before a big performance or an audition, these work really, really well. Okay. I also have sleep affirmations that I've written for myself. So I'll say something like, I sleep deeply. And I actually slow down the words and have pauses between the words. So this past year, the biggest thing I wanted was inner peace about my performance. And I found that while I didn't already have it was because I was striving for that perfect performance, that unattainable performance, which I would never, ever have. Yes, we work every day to be better, but if we don't enjoy the moment and really be in the moment, our audience won't. So if someone like me can make their Met debut and keep their chill and in a scary role like Salome, be totally relaxed, fully present in the now, and then satisfied with their own experience, then anyone can. So now I'd love to hear from you, and how do you embrace your inner artist?
When you were talking about the vocal
Yes.
chakras and everything and balancing it out, do you find that certain sounds resonate better with you than others? Like, could you go into that a little bit?
Well, there's certain different vowels that you work on with your vocal chakras. And the one that I have blocked is actually an ah vowel, which is interesting because in singing, that's the one that I have to work on the most. And yet when I'm saying like an oo vowel, it's really great. And there's certain sounds that like connect to certain chakras. So I just think it's funny. I've actually started practicing the chakra clearing before I warm up and using it as a warm up to just get the voice flowing better and paying more attention to that whole body experience. And so yes, you talked about being more risk tolerant. What does that mean for you? That's a really good question. Taking risks. Well, this was a big risk. I don't like sharing my weaknesses with everyone, just kind of taking off the mask. I'm worried that people will think that I'm not as good a singer or don't have my act together. But I thought it was really important to take a risk like that because every singer goes through struggles, and you can't really, it makes you a stronger singer. And I think my recent performances and auditions, one of the reasons I think they've gone so well is that I've developed daily habits that I do every day so that I don't have to worry so much about being nervous right before or being nervous right after. So I would say that's a risk. As a singer, I mean, doing any role for the first time is a huge risk, because you're putting yourself out there and you're not really sure that you're going to be able to, sometimes carry over an orchestra or how you're going to sound on the stage or anything like that. Do you have a routine on performance days? I guess I treat every day kind of like it's a performance day. I exercise, I do yoga, I do self-hypnosis. I practice with my husband, and I normally do something like, as I said, like the chakra clearing before. Sleep is a huge issue. I'm always journaling at night. So I guess on a performance day, I wouldn't really do anything different than I would do any other day. And I'm thinking and working as a singer every single day. As a human being, I guess. Okay, so there's a question. Which of the tools that you mentioned earlier did you put into play during your Met debut? Very good. Was there anything in particular that you really focused on that day, considering that it was last minute notice? That's a great question. That was one of the easiest things I had ever done, because I didn't have any time to worry about it. When I got the call a few hours before, my heart started beating really fast. But then when she said, so Kirsten, are you, ready to go on the Met stage? And I said, yeah, it was a role I had done before. I was prepared, and it's a role I love. And it was so funny. I was so calm and chill and relaxed. I was excited, and it felt like singing on any stage in the world. And then I didn't realize until the very end of the performance that I was at the Met. I just thought I was on any stage, and I'd never been on that stage, nor had I worked with the orchestra, or with that conductor, or like even I hadn't danced. There's all these holes on the stage. Hadn't danced. I hadn't been naked on that stage. And I was all those things, and I wasn't nervous. I was just in the moment. I kind of even forget what I did because I was not thinking about what I was doing before or thinking about what I was doing after. But until like the very end, everyone was clapping, and I realized, oh my God, I just sang at the Met. Should I have done that? Did they like it? And then I thought, Kirsten, it doesn't matter. Be grateful. And I was really grateful. There's a lot of different opinions about how singers should work out. Oh, that's a good question. What kind of workouts do you do? Very good question. I work out every day, depending on but it's different depending on what role I'm working towards. I love cardio, but depending on like what kind of singing I'm doing depends on how much cardio I do. I almost always do cardio before I warm up because it really gets the body going. Sometimes I don't even feel like I have to warm up as much when I've done some cardio. But if I do too much cardio and I haven't been doing it, I'm done. So I'll run, but I run like a mile. I'll do, jumping jacks if I'm in the hotel room and, have very little time. I love to dance. I've taken every kind of dance imaginable. So I'll dance like a loon in my hotel. I think it's really important as singers because we travel so much, and most of my singing actually has been abroad. So I'm always like practicing in a hotel room and exercising. And sometimes as a woman, you don't want to go out on a run at night. So I do a lot of exercises at night in my room. I do calisthenics, any kind of calisthenic. When it comes to what exercises I don't want to do, I have a tendency to tighten up here, my diaphragm. And so I make sure I don't exercise that one as hard because it can get really tight, and I really need to be thinking much lower and using my full body when I support. So I'm also the way I'm shaped. I have a thin waist and I can develop abs really easily. And so I actually try not to develop abs. That's the way my voice works. So I work really hard not to do that. Every day I do yoga. I did yoga before this video just to ground me. Flexibility and just kind of getting all juicy, I think is so important when you're a singer. Y'all are awesome. Love you guys.